You can build a castle with the stones others throw at you, but sometimes, you have to tear the whole damn thing down to find the monster hiding in the basement. For months, the biggest question hanging over the WWE has been a shadow, a masked phantom. A cowardly viper who struck CM Punk just minutes before the biggest match of the year, War Games, leaving the icon bloody, broken, and eliminated from the fight. We all speculated. We all searched. The evidence pointed towards a disgruntled technician, a man with a scarred wrist and a motive fueled by jealousy, Chad Gable. But that was the lie. That was the misdirection. I told you the evidence was sound. I told you the scar matched. I told you the technique was perfect. But what I didn't see, what none of us saw, was the layer beneath the obvious. The masterful camouflage. The real architect of the destruction. Because the phantom who attacked CM Punk wasn't Chad Gable. He was the pawn. He was the distraction. The true predator was the one who used the chaos, who benefited from the absence, and who has been hiding in plain sight, wearing the mask of the hero, the whole damn time. This isn't just about a sneak attack anymore. This is about a conspiracy that runs so deep, it touches the very top of the company, and it directly challenges the most important promise ever made in this business, the promise of the American Nightmare. Last Friday on Smackdown, Cody Rhodes didn't come to the ring to cut a promo. He didn't come to talk about finishing the story. He came to the ring with a cold, terrifying certainty. He came with a name. It started subtly. Cody was talking about his recent rivalries, about the roadblocks, about the people who tried to stop his journey. He talked about Drew McIntyre, about Shinsuke Nakamura, and then, he paused. The crowd was chanting, but Cody cut them off. He said, and I quote, "There is a kind of betrayal that you don't see coming. It's the betrayal of the man who pats you on the back while sharpening the knife for your own throat." And then he laid out the facts that lead us away from Gable and straight to the real monster. Think about the situation, War Games. Two separate teams. CM Punk was the leader of his side. When he was taken out, the entire match dynamic shifted. It benefited everyone on the opposing team, yes, but it most critically benefited the man who was supposed to be the substitute for Punk. The man who was supposed to step up and lead the team. But in the ultimate twist of fate, the authority stepped in and put Chad Gable in that spot, not the original designated replacement. And who was the original designated replacement for CM Punk's team? The man who was promised that spot, the man who was publicly furious when Punk's return forced him back down the card, the man who saw his final, perfect opportunity to headline the biggest show of the season evaporate in a cloud of best in the world smoke. The man who was right there at War Games, lurking in the shadows, waiting for his moment, only to have his substitution attempt overruled by the authority because they feared his aggressive style would escalate the situation. This is where the story turns. The mystery man who struck Punk was hired, contracted, and paid for by the person who had the most to lose by Punk's presence, and the most to gain by his absence. The masked attacker was a hired gun. The man who orchestrated the attack was the man who was supposed to be the heir apparent to Punk's role as the disillusioned main eventer. The man who Cody Rhodes confronted on SmackDown last week, the man whose mask of brotherhood finally slipped, is Sami Zayn. Braun Breaker looks intensely into the camera. The background sound is replaced by a tense, rhythmic ticking. Wait, I know what you're thinking. Sami Zayn? The ultimate good guy? The emotional heartbeat of the locker room? The man who defeated the bloodline? That's precisely why the betrayal is so deep, so absolute, and so devastating. It's the ultimate use of perceived goodness as a weapon. Cody Rhodes didn't accuse Sami with emotion. He used facts, laid out with chilling calm. 1. The original plan. Sami Zayn was originally slated to be the emotional leader and anchor of the War Games team, positioning him for a major title run into the new year. When CM Punk signed, Sami's spot was instantly reduced. His emotional investment, his hard-won loyalty, was tossed aside for the returning star power of the icon. The resentment, beneath the cheerful good luck messages on social media, was a slow, toxic burn. 2. The hired gun and the scar. The attacker had the scar. Yes, it was an athletic scar. But it wasn't Chad Gable's. Gable's scar is from a ring post. The attacker's scar, as Cody revealed, is from an exploding ring incident from years ago, a type of injury specific to a small, private wrestling circuit Sami Zayn used to frequent. The attacker wasn't a WWE wrestler. He was an old friend, a paid mercenary, from Sami's past, hired for his technical skill and his history with that specific, identifying scar. Sami knew the company would immediately look to someone obvious like Gable, allowing his friend to take the heat and disappear. 3. The confrontation on SmackDown. Cody didn't ambush Sami. He invited him to the ring. He told Sami that he wasn't just mad, he was disappointed. He reminded Sami that when the chips were down, Sami had to cheat, had to use a mask, and had to use someone else to fight his battles, proving he never truly learned how to stand on his own. Cody pointed out that Sami's entire popularity is built on a lie, the lie of the underdog who fights fairly. 4. The final proof, the wallet. Cody then did something absolutely unprecedented. He pulled a small, laminated card out of his pocket and tossed it onto the mat between them. It was a receipted deposit slip from a non-traceable, offshore bank account. The recipient? The masked man's legal name. The sender? Sami Zayn's wife's maiden name. A transfer made in cash, designed to look like a personal loan, but clearly marked with a private code, War Games Cleanup. Sami Zayn, standing in the ring, suddenly had nowhere to hide. The smile was gone. The confusion was gone. What replaced it was a look of cold, defeated rage. Why did Cody Rhodes wait? Why did he keep the truth for weeks, allowing Chad Gable to take the heat and the narrative to spiral? Because Cody wasn't just solving a crime. He was conducting a psychological operation. Cody needed to see how far Sami would go to protect the lie. He needed to expose the full extent of the conspiracy. He needed to let Sami believe he was safe, only to pull the rug out from under him in the most public, devastating way possible. Cody didn't just confront Sami. He dismantled the entire emotional foundation of his career. Think about the implications. The ultimate babyface, the man everyone trusted, the man who preached heart and loyalty, used his wife's account to pay a thug to take out a rival just to get a main event spot. This isn't just about a championship. This is about selling his soul for a fleeting moment in the sun. And Sami's reaction? It was terrifying. He didn't deny it. He didn't apologize. He bent down, picked up the receipt, tore it into tiny pieces, and let the fragments float to the mat like confetti on a grave. And then, he spoke. Not with the frantic energy of the underdog from the underground, but with a low, menacing intensity we've never heard from him before. Sami looked Cody dead in the eye and said, "You're right. I did it. And I would do it again. Because the only difference between me and you, Cody, is that I had the balls to stop waiting for a story to finish. I decided to start a war." He explained his motive with a terrifying clarity. He watched Cody Rhodes waltz back into the company, immediately handed the biggest feuds and the biggest spotlight, all while Sami was forced to fight tooth and nail for every opportunity. He saw CM Punk return and jump the line he had spent years waiting in. Sami's betrayal wasn't about hate for Punk, it was about his burning, incandescent hatred for the entire system that always rewards the chosen sons and ignores the workers. By taking out Punk, he wasn't just getting a spot. He was proving that the system is rigged. He was proving that you have to break every rule and cross every line to be taken seriously. But then, the situation went from confrontation to carnage. As Sami finished his confession, the lights flickered. Not out. They flickered, creating a strobe effect. And when the light stabilized, standing on the apron behind Cody was the masked man, the hired gun. Cody, seeing the reflection in the belt buckle, turned just as the masked man lunged. But Cody was ready. He ducked the attack, threw the man over the top rope, and delivered a devastating crossroads to the mystery assailant right on the cold floor. But the moment Cody turned back to face Sami, it happened. The final, fatal mistake. Sami Zayn was holding the brass championship buckle that Cody had placed on the mat. He didn't hesitate. He swung the heavy, unforgiving brass right into Cody Rhodes' unprotected face. The sound of a heavy, hollow thud echoes sharply. Cody collapsed. The blood was immediate. It wasn't a scratch. It was a massive, sickening cut above his eye, instantly painting the mat red. Sami Zayn stood over the man who had just exposed his deepest secret, and he didn't look triumphant. He looked liberated. He had crossed the final line. He was no longer the underdog. He was the monster. Sami then took the microphone and, standing over the fallen American nightmare, he screamed one final message into the camera: "The story is over, Cody. You lose. Now I take everything." This is the true genesis of a villain. Not a cheap turn, not a heel promo. This is the shattering of a character's soul live on television. Sami Zayn didn't just hurt Cody Rhodes. He destroyed the fundamental trust of the WWE Universe. This isn't just a feud. This is a war for the narrative of the entire company. Cody's story of finishing the journey has just run headfirst into Sami's story of burning the whole damn map. The shot lingers on the empty ring, save for the blood and the confetti of the torn receipt. My God. I'm still reeling from what I saw. The cold calculation of Sami Zayn, the devastating revelation, and the brutal attack on Cody Rhodes. If you felt that intensity, if you felt that burning rage that comes from witnessing the ultimate betrayal, then you know this isn't just a video, it's the truth. I put my entire channel's credibility on the line to follow this trail, and it led us to the most painful possible conclusion. If you appreciate the effort and the commitment to exposing the real secrets in this business, then please, I need you to smash the like button right now. Let's make this video a statement. And please, in the comments, I need to hear from you. How do you feel about Sami Zayn now? What does this mean for Cody Rhodes? Talk to me. I know I ask you every time, and I know you have endless options for wrestling content. But if you want the unfiltered, honest, and sometimes painful truth, the truth that exposes the villains hiding behind the smiles, then I truly need you on my side. Hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. Join the Ring Rumble community. I can't stand up to this kind of darkness alone. Let's get justice for Cody.